Hello. How are you all? Good. At this time, I welcome everyone to the Orangeboro Board of Commissioners April 24th special called meeting, Orangeboro City Hall. At this time, I would ask City Clerk Beth Cecil to call the roll.
Commissioner Jay Vallata.
Here.
Commissioner Larry Conder.
Here.
Mayor Tom Watson.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Bob Glenn.
Here.
Commissioner Pam Smithwright.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, we'll ask Commissioner Jay Vallata to lead us in our opening prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Please bow your heads or reflect in silent meditation if that is what you so choose. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this and each and every day you give us. Thank you for the opportunities to gather. Please provide safe passage for all. Thank you for the many freedoms we enjoy and for those who have given us and currently fight and in the past have fought for those freedoms and to provide those for us to enjoy. Watch over all our public safety as they keep us safe each and every day. Let us not take these freedoms for granted. Please provide the freedom to understand the task ahead of us, the courage to make the right choices, and the strength to carry out those choices collectively for the good of all. Lead us, guide us, and direct us. We ask this in your Son, Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Your husband gave you me.
I don't know. Maybe the last time we tried it.
Okay now, all you adults need to be quiet so we can hear you up here. Kids can have fun. At this time, we'll have a few presentations. The first one being we'd like to recognize and honor any Vietnam veterans. And at this time, I'll call on Commissioner Pam Smithwright to kind of explain it a little bit, and so we can make sure that come on in. There's seats in the middle. We're not missing anyone. This probably will be the last time that we do this because it's supposed to have ended in December of last year. So if you're a Vietnam vet and you haven't been honored by Pam, take it away.
The pins and a letter that we've been given out comes from the Department of Defense, and it is to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Vietnam War. And any veteran who served in that time or in the Vietnam War is welcome to have one of these lapel pins. So if there's someone here, I would like to present that to you if you have not received one.
Okay.
Mr. Moreland,
Mr. Moreland?
would you go to the podium and tell us when you served and where?
I am a Vietnam veteran. I did not serve in Vietnam, and my last service was Jacksonville, Florida, NAS Cecil Field, and in the early attack aircraft squadron, VA 174.
I'm Arnie Weiner. There we go. I'm Arnie Weiner. I served from February 1966 through January of 1969. I was stationed at a Nike Hercules base outside of Anchorage, Alaska.
Okay,
is
please
he-
come to the podium, please. Who's got a cell phone on? Did I not make that announcement that you can't have your cell phone on in here? Yes, ma'am. Please say your name and address. for
My
the
name is Sandra Midkiff, and I live at 36.
Oh, hi,
You know me,
Sandy.
Tommy.
I know. I just let everybody else
You're
know.
teasing me, aren't you?
Yep.
My husband, Bruce Midkiff, my late husband, Bruce Midkiff, served in Vietnam from January 1967 to August the 13th, 1967. He was wounded in Vietnam on August the 13th. He stepped on an anti-personnel mine, which resulted in the loss of his left leg. He went to college, graduated, taught school, did anything he wanted to do after that, but I'd like to acknowledge him.
Mayor.
I had the opportunity to know Bruce for a long time and had the opportunity to take care of him as best I could. He pretty much took care of himself. 6'4", about 275 pounds. And he pulled in 105 pound, 10 pound, 104 pound catfish out of the river by himself with one hand, one leg, and drug it up in the boat with him. And I've got that picture in my office. He was a hell of a man. Thank you for being here, Sam. Excuse me, he was a heck of a man. Okay, Commissioner Smith-Wright.
Mayor,
Yes,
thank
ma'am.
you. I just wanted to, since we have so many people here today, I would encourage you to let any Vietnam veteran know that I have these lapel pins and the letter from the president, and we will try to do this one other time. And so if you would tell your friends or anybody you know that was in Vietnam or served during that time, that we really want to recognize them. So please ask them to come and receive these pins. Thank you.
Thanks, Pam, for doing that. It's great service to our community. Okay, at this time I have a proclamation to read. And I think we have folks here, Rosemary Conder, Christy Clark, and Kim Butler. They all here? Okay. Counselor, where am I supposed to do this? Out there?
No,
At the mic?
Mayor, you're good, and
Oh.
then you can certainly recognize them there.
Okay.
And if you
I can
wish.
recognize her all the time. Okay, I'm going to read this proclamation if you'll bear with me, please. Whereas National Child Abuse Prevention Month will be recognized throughout the United States, as well as in the Commonwealth of Kentucky during the month of April 2017. And whereas preventing child abuse and neglect is a community problem that depends on involvement among people throughout the community. Whereas during periods of economic challenges, families feel more vulnerable, and as a result, child abuse and neglect increases dramatically. Whereas child abuse and neglect can be reduced by making sure each family has the support they need to raise their children in a healthy environment. And whereas child abuse is considered to be one of our nation's most serious public health problems, with scientific studies documenting the link between abuse and neglect of children and a wide range of medical, emotional, psychological, and behavioral disorders. Whereas all citizens should become involved in strengthening families to raise their children in a safe and nurturing environment. Whereas effective child abuse prevention programs succeed because of partnerships created among government agencies, schools, faith communities, civic organizations, law enforcement agencies, and the business community. Now therefore I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Orangeboro, do hereby proclaim April 2017 as Child Abuse Prevention Month in the City of Orangeboro, and I urge all community agencies, faith groups, and businesses to increase their participation in our efforts to strengthen families, thereby preventing child abuse and creating healthier communities. Read this 24th day of April 2017. Come on, somebody.
I will. My name is Christy Clark, and I'm the Community Collaboration for Children Program Coordinator at the GRAD office, and it is a child abuse prevention program. And I would just like to thank you, Mayor Watson, on behalf of myself and our agency and community partners, Rosemary with CASA and Kim Butler with DCBS. Thank you so much.
Go. We have another proclamation. Somewhat self-serving, but on behalf of my friend Bruce, we have the proclamation for National Limb Loss Awareness Month proclamation. Whereas there are approximately 2 million Americans living with limb loss / difference, and whereas over 500 Americans lose a limb every day, and 1,000 babies are born each year with congenital limb deficiencies. And whereas diabetes and peripheral vascular disease are the leading cause of limb loss, followed closely by trauma, whereas the number of amputations per day will double by 2050 unless a major public awareness campaign is launched and key prevention initiatives are put in place. And whereas appropriate access to care for people affected by limb loss is vital to enable individuals to reach their full potential, live independently, and live well with limb loss. Whereas the Amputee Coalition provides education, outreach, support, and advocacy through the National Limb Loss Resource Center for the benefit of persons with limb loss and their families and healthcare providers. Whereas April will be an appropriate month to designate National Limb Loss Awareness Month, as spring is a time of renewal and inspiration. Now therefore, I, Thomas Hart Watson, Mayor of the City of Owensboro, do hereby proclaim April 2017 as Limb Loss Awareness Month. And we also, it's also statewide too, so.
For you.
Sandy, could I present this to you, please? Okay.
We have about 17 more to go. Is that right, a proclamation?
Y'all ain't in a hurry, are you? All right, good. Next item on the agenda is a presentation by Carol Atkins, I hope, or somebody associated with her. There you go. It's Fresh Start for Women. Carol is longtime resident and physical therapist, and I've known her a long time. She came presented this to me at my office one afternoon, and I said, we got to share this story. This is too good to keep to yourself. So please state your name and address for the record.
Carol Adkins, 3148 Reed Road, Owensboro, Kentucky. And it is so appropriate that we follow child abuse proclamation. So this is just awesome. Good evening, and thank you for allowing Fresh Start to present. So you all can just be at ease. We are not here to ask for money, so just relax, listen to this story. I've changed this girl's name, but Melanie is in her 30s, a single mother with 2 children, a little girl 4 and a little boy that's 7 months. She's been addicted to drugs, alcohol, and relied on men to make her happy and help her cope with her past. As a child, she was abused, neglected, and her parents too were addicts. Just a few weeks ago, she came home from work sobbing, overwhelmed with the financial obstacles in her life. Jail, followed by treatment for addiction, domestic violence, has her clean and sober and ready to be launched into her new life. Immediately, the reality of the cost of survival hits her. She has a job at a fast food restaurant and soon discovers she's got to get a second job in order to pay off past child support, court fees, etc. Without a license, she somehow manages to get to work and realizes that the cost of child care, diapers, clothes, etc. are overwhelming and seemingly impossible. This is the life of countless women in this area. Several people recognized this need and decided to take steps to fill the gap by providing transitional housing with subsidized rent and assistance with some of the utilities. Just a few requirements: no men on the property, no drugs or alcohol, documentation of 3 weekly activities, and that state that you're looking for a fresh start. That's what Fresh Start is: transitional housing in a building with 12 apartments, one converted into a laundry room, a resource room, etc. A supportive community of like-minded women who are supported by others in a community, offering rides, connecting with them with resources in the community, encouragement, prayer, flowers after the death of a family member, a hug after a rough day, hope for better days ahead. They are given tools that they will need to advocate for themselves and gradually become independent women who can provide for themselves and their families. Taking the time to notice a need, investing the time and resources necessary to fulfill the need, one life at a time. The impact is far-reaching, breaking the cycle of trauma, child abuse, addiction, poverty, and helping women reach their destiny is the focus of Fresh Start. The problems are larger than one entity can tackle, but we will do our part, do it well, and make a difference in the individuals' lives, which impact the entire community as the roads are safer, stable homes are established, students attend school and learn, and the healthcare system is less taxed. Owensboro is a better place to live and raise a family. So that's what we are about, and would be happy to entertain questions now or later.
Do you have a way for him to get a hold of you?
Yes. Probably the easiest might be email at Fresh Start, and that's 5554@gmail.com. I don't know that I want my telephone number broadcast, but
I promise
my
you
phone
you
rings
don't.
off the
I
hook.
promise you don't want your phone number. I promise. But thank you so much, Carol. We appreciate it. It's another thing that makes Owensboro great again. Okay, and now we'll move to the business section of the meeting. 5A, I'd like the motion to consider the approval of the minutes dated March 21st, 2017.
Motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. 5B, consider appointment, city manager.
Yes, Mayor. Shifley York Alliance Board appoint Betty Lepper and Reggie Helm to a 2-year term expiring April 24th, 2019. And Wesley Shawnee Alliance Board reappoint Clyde Miller to a 2-year term expiring April 24th, 2019. Appoint David Rudd to a 2-year term expiring April 24th, 2019.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve, please.
Motion.
So moved.
Any discussion? I do know that Reggie Helm guy's a good dude. Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 6, Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. The first
Well-
is second reading on Ordinance 5-2017 entitled an Ordinance amending Chapter 3, Article 1, Section 3-8 of the Owensboro Municipal Code to expand the sale of alcoholic beverages on Sundays. Publicly read for approval on the second reading, April 24th, 2017.
Thank you, sir. I have a motion to approve, please.
Motion.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, we'll have a roll call vote for this one. Thought I forget, didn't you?
Mayor,
it's a-
can the public speak out, or is it not time?
We know you're against it.
Thank you. Could I speak?
Yes.
Or is this going to be, okay. My name is Steve Moreland. I live at 316 Diddley. And as you know, I tied my shoes. I came in here from work. I was tired. I've been collecting signatures. We got about 44 signatures of registered voters in Owensboro that are opposed to the expansion of alcohol on Sunday. I'd like to give this to the mayor. People that were in Utica or some other place other than Owensboro, but I made sure the city was. Them 44, approximately by my number, speaks for a silent majority. Kroger Supermarkets, I believe, is very wrong. I have in my wallet my cut Kroger Plus card because they brought an ordinance just so they can sell beer, wine, and whiskey on Sundays. Their greed of Kroger is wrong. We know that this government doesn't take a lot of encouragement to pass alcohol ordinances, and usually there isn't much opposition. But I want you to know the Christian community is very much against this in this community. We've been to at least no less than 4 to 5 churches about this. They know about it. A lot of them are silent. The Christian community, as this government knows and the county government knows, they are a silent majority, but I assure you there are thousands and thousands of people that are represented by them few, small, even politically speaking, maybe a nothing type of petition, a 44 sign. But I wish y'all would, this morally is wrong, economically is wrong. Insurance rates, I talked to an insurance agent, it will, with more consumption of alcohol because the bars are going to be open. Mayor, you want to open up the bars, and Smith Wright said that veterans at the post of one of the local veterans organizations wants to buy and drink alcohol on Sundays at their post.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moreland.
As a veteran, there are
time.
many veterans that don't want to do that don't hang out at the post and maybe get drunk and all the time. But this is wrong. And I know
your time is up, sir.
but I am opposed to the passing of this expansion of alcohol on
The
Sunday.
board, the chair recognizes that you're opposed to it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mayor.
Okay, anybody else from the public want to speak? Yes, ma'am. It's already started, just jump in there.
I'm Heather Hunt. I live at 1912 East 20th Street. This wasn't the issue I thought I would speak on, but having family members at Kroger, I'm not going to deny that Kroger as a business probably has an interest in expanding their sales on Sundays, but this would also allow them to have more hours at stores, which would allow more jobs. Also, there's no difference from Saturday night to Sunday. If people are going to drink, they're going to want to drink, and that's their choice. I don't drink. I'm not a drinker. There's no alcohol in my house, but as long as people are doing it responsibly, and I see a lot of responsible citizens enjoying something they may enjoy. So I realize there's just a lot of people who are against doing something, and they're free to be against doing something. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a huge safety issue because it's just one more day out of 6 other days that they can do it. It's just going to open up a day where maybe 1 or 2 more people at a store have hours that they need. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, can we call the roll now? Okay, Ms. Cecil.
Commissioner Vallata,
Yes.
Commissioner Condor,
Yes.
Mayor Watson,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Glenn.
Yes.
Commissioner Smithwright.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay. Item number 7. At this,
You want to go ahead with first reading, Mayor? Or was there an alternative course
Well,
of action?
quite honestly, I'm not ready to move forward on these ordinances. 7A and 7B, which speak to the tax increase. We've, now that we've passed the 100-day deadline for the insurance premium tax, we have a little more time. We've asked the city staff and to go back and try and give us more opportunities for cuts so that we can lower the burden of tax increase. The staff even has gone so far as to tell the elected officials that we could save $95,000 a year if we gave up 67% of our salary, and those that are on the insurance, since they're part-time employees, give up their insurance. So we've turned over a lot of rocks. I'm just not ready at this time to bring this forward. So I'm going to make a motion to table this, items 7A and 7B, and I'll need a second, please.
Second.
Any discussion from the board?
This time would be appropriate to take a vote, Mayor.
Okay. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
Carries 4-1. Thank you. Okay. Item number 8, Mr. Ray.
Item number 8 is municipal order. Consider municipal order 15-2017 entitled Municipal Order Approving the 2017-18 Annual Action Plan for Community Development Block Grant and Home Investment Partnership Funds, prepared by the Community Development Department and authorizing and directing the mayor to execute the same. Introduced and publicly read for approval April 24th, 2017.
City Manager, you have comment?
Mayor, I'd ask you to recognize Abby Shelton, Community Development Director.
I recognize her.
Mayor, may I make a point of order first? I'm looking around at some of the folks that are looking up here, wondering what just happened on those two, and it may need some explanation, just so everybody's aware. The two items that were just tabled, items 7A and 7B, are the budget. And I see a lot of One for One and Craven's Pool folks here, and I just wanted to let everybody know that's the item number on the agenda that addresses the budget and addresses those cuts. And item number 2, 7B, is the one concerning the, the first one's concerning the occupational license fee increase, the second one's concerning the budget. So if you don't have a paper agenda and you wondered what 2 items were just tabled, those are the 2 items. The budget and the tax increase have been tabled and will be considered in a future meeting. We've now moved on to the next agenda item, which is a municipal order related to the Community Action Plan. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. You want to wait, Abby, until it settles down just a little bit?
That's why I voted against it. I have nothing against it.
Take care. See you.
Here, guys. Thanks for coming. I don't mean, whatever. Not my rodeo. So explain.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you. I agree.
Okay, Abby, let's get a run at it.
Thank you, Mayor Watson, Commissioners. I have a quick update about the annual action plan process that we've now been going through for the past several months. It's a process of collecting the wants and needs of the public, of the community, and making sure that we input those into our annual allocation that we ask for from Louisville HUD. Can you hear me okay? No.
You're not recognized, sir. Please have a seat, and we'll get you to the microphone. I know what you want to do. I'm just trying to get it all cleared out. Thank you.
Can you hear me okay now?
Joe Watson, would you close that door over there, please, so we can get... Thank you. Never mind.
Okay. Can you hear me okay now? All right. I am Abby Shelton, the Community Development Director for the City of Owensboro. Mayor and Commissioners, thank you so much for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Owensboro. Excuse my voice. I'm a little under the weather. This process involves gathering public input. We've been into this for a few months now, and the public has been given an opportunity to comment. If there are any comments tonight, I'd be happy to, even though the comment period has expired, include those into our action plan. So with that, oops, sorry. There we go. Okay. I have a quick activities update just to let you know what we've been doing, what I've been doing in the department for the past year. We have several homes that we've completed. 3 are new builds. One's a rehab. 2604 Cravens, 1020 East 20th Street were both built with neighborhood stabilization funds, partly subsidized by the city. Those will be complete, in the next 2 to 3 weeks. 317 East 7th Street is a beautiful home located down by German Park. It is about 1,400 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. We are still looking for a buyer for that property, and we do have several applications for first-time home buyers in the chute for that. 1203 Davis was built with home funds, 2,800 square feet, 4 bedrooms, 2 baths. We did just sign a purchase agreement on that property. It is a rehab of an historic home in the J.Z. Moore district. We have 2 properties, 2104 West A Street and 1700 West 4th Street, that we just deeded over to Habitat for Humanity for them to build some single-family low-income homes. And in the Triplet Twist district, which I apologize, I was kind of thrown off last time. The hospital property is vacant, and it is included in the Triplet Twist district.
Good.
I kind of don't know what I said after that.
We'd like to have it, too. We'd like to get it on the tax rolls.
Gotcha.
You know that,
Okay.
don't you?
All right. We'll work on that for you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We have several projects going on, excuse me, in this area as of right now, ranging from business facade upgrades on Miller Boulevard to facade grant upgrades at Triplet Street, and then existing homeowner exterior rehabs that the purchasing and finance department have both helped me with, as well as legal, to get contracts and agreements in place for all those properties. And finally, 1928 Triplet, 2001 Triplet, and 716 East 20th Street. We worked with a local property owner, business owner, to procure those properties, which is the corner adjacent to Gabe's Tower, for economic development. So the total private investment to date that we have had is $110,870, and the total public investment to date is $468,098. And we look for those numbers to not just to increase with the activity that's going to be going on in the Triplet Twist. Over 50 properties we're working on with exterior rehab in that area. World Changers was in town last year, and the average total investment per home was $6,000. The total economic impact of that entire program, which they had about 275 volunteers come in, was about $107,510, and we only had $25,000 of CDBG funds in that project. So they will be coming back into town this year, and they will be with us June 19th through the 24th. So if you see those folks in town, make sure that you say hi and tell them you're thankful for their work here in Owensboro. So I just discussed, that's a picture of the house at 317 East 7th Street. Still for sale, still looking for a purchaser. It is first-time home buyer program. That is 1203 Davis Street, which was just completed. We do have a purchase agreement on that property. It's a beautiful home. If anybody's interested in looking at it, we still have it open, and I'd be happy to take you through. That is 1020 East 20th Street over in the Triplet Twist District. And then 2604 Cravens Avenue. Do not have purchase prices on those properties as of yet because they need to be completed, obviously, to get appraisals done. So what we're working on and asking for your approval on is the annual action plan, which is the yearly plan that we prepare each year for HUD to review, which includes all the projects that we're going to do for the upcoming year. We also have the consolidated plan, which we are in until 2019, and then the CAPER Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Report, which I'll do at the end of the year. The funding sources that our community receives are, of course, entitlement funds that are based off our population. They are community development block grant funds and home investment partnership program funds. We do not have our annual allocation as of yet, so our budget is just estimated, and once we receive those numbers, our budget will be adjusted accordingly, and I can bring those numbers to you when the budget amendment is presented. The annual action plan, of course, is just a recap of anything that we are going to do within the city of Owensboro, which includes not only the Triplet Twist District, and that goes until 2019. It also includes our regular community development programs, including Habitat for Humanity or any other partnerships that we may do. Our funding obviously has steadily decreased throughout the year, so we're hoping to stay at the same level. We'll see how that goes with the new administration. I think our funds for this year are safe, though. So our proposed budget, based on an amount of $413,000, includes, of course, the Triplet Twist exterior rehab program, the facade grants. Then we are going to delve into the area beautification and neighborhood identity signs for about $100,000. Hopefully we'll have that bid out in the next month or two. And then the down payment assistance program, which is up to $5,000 that goes towards closing costs and our down payment for $30,000, which is a total of $276,000 in the Triplet Twist area. Of course, we also have our homebuyer rental rehab program, and then the rehabilitation program, Edmond, which has no funds in it, but $55,000 is going to be freed up for partnerships such as Habitat for Humanity. Of course, we do set aside $82,000 that we are allowed to by HUD for administration, for a total of $413,000. And like I said, that may be up for change because we don't know what our allocation is going to be as of yet. Our home budget, home buyer program, which these funds can only be used for home buyer activities, excuse me, and/or building, including Triplet Twist, is $135,000. Our Chodo set aside, which we are working with GRAD to reactivate their Chodos, 15% set aside that we will put towards that, as well as previous funds that we've received for the Chodo. And then home administration, $18,000 for a budget of $180,000. New activities this year. Of course, we are going to reactivate the Chodo, work with GRAD to hopefully build 2 single-family low-income homes. And that'll be about $200,000, not out of this year's budget, but in addition to previous funds. And then the Triplet Twist downspout removal program. RWRA has approached me with a unique program to try to help them comply with EPA regulations and said, you know, we'll help you administer the program if you help us get the downspouts off the combined sewer system. So we put aside $10,000 for that. I don't think it'll cost that much to do each home. And that's the map of the downspouts that we propose to remove off of that program. It will be available to everybody in that area. So we work to provide decent housing, a suitable living environment, and expand economic opportunities with the CDBG program that we administer. And of course, our eligible activities include providing low to benefit to low to moderate income persons, aiding in the prevention or elimination of slums and blight, or addressing an urgent need such as emergency earthquakes, floods, severe hurricanes, which hopefully we won't have any more winds like that here in Owensboro. We work to improve the quality of life, provide decent housing, and also I try to focus on working with partnerships of new facilities and new programs like Fresh Start for Owensboro. It's one of those things that if we can all work together, we don't have that much money. We receive a lot, but we try to make sure we invest as much as we can in those programs. And those are just a short list of the partnerships that we have throughout the community. And if anybody ever has any questions about what I do and the Community Development Department, I'm happy to answer any questions. And there's my contact information. Yes, sir.
I have a question. Are there certain restrictions on who can buy these homes?
Yes.
Did you already say that and I didn't hear it?
No, that's a very good question. That's
because
kind of
a lot of people have called me about it, and I send them your way, and they all tell me there's a dead end. So.
No, I appreciate that. It is a low-income HUD scale that we use. That for the amount of people in the homes, we go by 30%, 50%, or 80% of the median household income. So everybody's household is included in that. It's a pretty fair scale, we believe, and the entire country uses it. So they have to meet that HUD income guideline. And for specific programs like the first-time homebuyer program, they have to be, of course, a first-time homebuyer and meet those guidelines per HUD standards, and then procure their own mortgage. So for any programs that we do, they're responsible for getting their own mortgages.
Okay, thank you, Abby.
Thank you,
Anybody
sir.
else have anything? Commissioner Glenn.
Comment on the question. So dating back to when Keith Free had your position,
Yes, sir.
what percentage of the people that have bought, lived in the homes, like in Germantown neighborhood and Baptist-town, are still in them? Do we have a pretty high retention rate?
We do have a high retention rate. I don't know the exact number, but going back and trying to look at some of the lien releases that I have and looking at the turnover and just looking at the number of homes that have been for sale in the Germantown area, usually those people stay in those homes. And I know in the Baptist-town estates that recently came up for to release those covenants and allow the homeowners to purchase those homes and actually live in those homes, it was a very high percentage that the housing authority actually worked with. So it was I couldn't, of course, take the credit, but it was really nice news from Shauna Boom, the director at the Housing
I'm
Authority.
going to give you credit. I'm also going to give Keith Free, your predecessor, credit. If you look at what Evansville, Indiana is doing, tearing down houses and trying to copy us, you guys have done an awesome job rebuilding our neighborhoods. And when other cities copy us, that's the sincerest form of flattery. So thank you for your great work.
I appreciate that very much.
Mayor, thank you.
You finished?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'm on this committee with Kentucky League of Cities for Federal Relations, and I asked Abby to put together kind of a synopsis of what the benefits of this community. And there's 160 cities or so, mayors and other elected officials on this call, and Owensboro, Kentucky, they requested this, and we were the only one that sent it in, so I wanted to thank you for that.
Oh,
it made me look good, and I
thank
was on
you.
the phone, and that's good. So I appreciate that very much, and she does a good job. So, okay, where are we, Counselor? Need a motion to approve?
There's been a motion and a second, Mayor. It's time to call for a vote.
How about all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Approving the action plan. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. No, I've been corrected. The city clerk has brought that to my attention.
I'm glad she got you this time.
She
instead of
did.
me.
She did. We need a motion and a second to approve the action plan.
Motion.
Second.
See, we have fun too. So is this a roll call or regular?
Regular.
All in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carries. Your little thingamajig fell out in front there, honey. Okay, item number 8B, please, Council.
Typically, we'll need a motion and a second before discussion. I'll catch that next time. He, and my
A mothership has. Okay.
my mistake. The next is 8B for consideration of Municipal Order 16-2017 entitled a Municipal Order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an application for FY 2017 competitive grant through the Kentucky 911 Service Boards in the approximate amount of $136,680.35, the proceeds of which will be utilized by the City of Owensboro to purchase emergency call processing software for the Owensboro-Davis County Centralized 911 Communications Center, a $500 supplemental contribution being required by the city and the county. Introduced and publicly read for approval April 24th, 2017.
City manager, see, that's what threw me off last time. I handed it off to you. Y'all like have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, discussion, city manager.
Mayor, I'd ask you to recognize Paul Nave, our Central Dispatch Director.
Good afternoon, Commission, Mayor. Paul Nave, Owensboro Davis County 911 Director. The
Kinda
grant is
stay close to the mic, could you, Paul?
Thank you. Better?
Better.
Thank you, sir. This grant is for a 911 call processing software. So that is how we triage the calls. So now we have CAD, and we enter in the information, but this is a step above that, which allows us to triage the calls consistently the same way. So as a call is processed, be it a burglary, a medical, or a fire incident, everything, all the questions are asked identically and documented and time-stamped and things like that. So it's more efficiently to do that. And most centers are going to that versus you answering and asking this question, you answering this question. It's consistent. So we want to improve our we always want to do things, be proactive instead of reactive. We want to do that and make things better.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the commission? Thank you,
Thank
Paul.
you, sir.
Okay, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item number 8C.
Consider Municipal Order 17-2017 entitled a Municipal Order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an easement agreement between the City of Owensboro and Atmos Energy Corporation granting a perpetual gas line easement through a portion of Fisher Park. Introduced and publicly read for approval April 24th, 2017.
Okay, could I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Second.
Discussion, city manager.
Mayor, ask you to recognize Kevin Cullion, the city engineer, for this one and the next item.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners.
Good evening.
This is a gas line relocation project executed by Atmos Energy. They retired an existing gas line and easement that ran the length of the park in the north-south direction, and now they wish to relocate it to just the south corner of the park. Really no significant impact to the use of the park.
Question?
Yes, sir.
So there might be a little, explain to the people this, how great an effort you're going to do so it won't smell too bad in that south corner, please. 'Cause I'm not at all happy with this thing going through there. I know what it's probably have to do, but.
Okay, let me clarify. This is
this is not it?
This is natural gas.
Oh, good,
This is
it's not
the,
RWRA's thing. All right, good.
Different smell.
Natural
Similar.
gas, I got mixed up there. Okay, where are we? Any other questions?
I did have one real quick question, if I may.
Commissioner Glenn.
So, to sort of follow up with what the mayor is saying, will there be disruption in the park, and if so, how are we handling that with Atmos?
There
'Cause that's a
won't be any
busy
more
area.
disruption with this. The line is actually already installed, so
It's already done.
there
They
is
just need the
no
approval.
disruption with this.
I guess I'm confused too. Okay.
Zella.
All right. All right. So
Anybody
it's
else want
done.
to take a run at this?
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Ready to vote? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 8D.
Consider Municipal Order 18-2017 entitled a Municipal Order authorizing and directing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Owensboro, the Owensboro-Davis County Regional Airport Board, and Regional Water Resource Agency granting a permanent sanitary sewer easement and temporary construction easement. Introduced and publicly read for approval April 24th, 2017.
Entertain a motion
Motion.
to approve.
Second.
Okay, city manager?
City engineer will take it.
City engineer.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. This is part of RWA's Southwest Master Pump Station project. and it's a small easement. There's actually an existing easement there. This just increases that easement slightly on a piece of property that is part of the airport, and that is on Biddle Road and adjacent to the US 60 bypass. It just increases the width of that easement on the corner of the tract. It's to allow RWA to complete their Southwest Master Pump Station project. Really not a huge significant impact to the use of the property at that location. So,
The one I'm talking about, is there still another one?
This is sanitary sewer, so this and this is part of that that same project where they went through Fisher Park, or going to go through Fisher Park, but this is for a different easement. This is not part of the Fisher Park, but same project, different easement location.
Okay. Other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 9, city manager item.
Mayor, I'd ask first of all that we consider the financial report for the period ending February 28th from Ms. Hamrick, please.
Ms. Hamrick.
Yes, Mayor and Commission. The financial report for the month ended February 28th, 2017. Our general fund revenues through February of $33,564,612 were $807,286 over budget, primarily due to occupational withholding tax and timing of property tax collections. Our general fund expenditures of $31,649,458 were $714,413 under budget, which is primarily due to timing in maintenance and supplies. Our sanitation fund revenues of $5,085,476 were $169,524 over budget, primarily due to dumpster services and sale of capital assets. Sanitation expenditures of $3,769,553 were $682,649 under budget, primarily due to tipping fee cost and timing of capital outlay. Expenditures in the transit fund and recreational fund were under budget. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to try and answer.
Okay, we need a motion to file for audit.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
If I could, please, Mayor.
Commissioner Condor.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
Angela.
Yes.
Let's see. The occupational tax.
Mm-hmm.
Great month in January versus budget. Not so good February versus budget. The flip is a little, is that maybe due to weather or anything else that may have occurred in January to be able to affect the February number? Because it is 200,000 under, but we're still ahead in that account to the tune of $560,000, which is great.
It could very well depend on companies and how often they have payroll. Some pay weekly, some pay biweekly, some give bonuses at different times of the year. So there's really no black and white rhyme or reason on one month to the next.
Okay. So you could have had 3 pay periods in January and only 2 in February, which would have skewed your
Depending
numbers.
on what day of the week that
Yes,
you
ma'am.
pay, it could be 3. If it's another day in the same month, it could be 2.
Thank you, Mayor.
Welcome. Any more discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9B, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm asking the Commission to consider tonight the following personnel appointments. Michael Custer, probationary full-time, non-civil service appointment, bus driver, effective May 1st, and Jacob Seaton, regular, full-time, non-civil service appointment, fire lieutenant, effective April 25th.
Could I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second, please.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item number 9C, City Manager. Comment?
Further, Mayor, thank you.
Okay, item number 10, communications from elected officials. Start with you, Commissioner Pamela Smith-Wright.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
I'm really excited about seeing so many people here tonight. I mean, this is democracy in action, and I feel that more people need to attend these meetings so that you will understand how this government works. And for those who came about Craven's Pool, I would ask you to also go to the city school board meeting, because the school board owns Cravens Pool. The city doesn't. And a lot of people don't know that. And so I think it's important that when you come to these meetings that you have all the facts. And so, you know, there might be something that the school board is willing to do if they see as many people turn out for the pool as they did here. So I thank you for coming. I want you to continue to come, but I also want you to know, you know, who owns the pool. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. I promise you, every person I've told that to, they were like, really? So, and there was a few people that were interested in the pool, so I just threw 840 signatures. I love it. You have to go to the podium and you have to be recognized. There you go. Yes, ma'am. Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Heather Hunt. I live on 1912 East 20th Street, 42376. Oh, sorry, 42303. 76 is my parents. They're from Utica.
They're from Utica. They can't vote in the city, can they?
I know. They don't count. I just wanted to ask if you knew when the school board meeting was.
Good question.
27.
Where do they meet?
4:30. What building?
On McCrary.
Okay. Old library.
That's board education.
4:30. Cravens. That's why it's attached to Cravens Elementary right there then. That makes sense.
I'm sorry?
The pool is like butt up against the elementary
Yes.
school, so that makes sense.
Okay, we're still on elected officials' comments, and I'll let you speak out of turn. It's my fault. You're welcome. Commissioner Glenn.
Yes, I just have two very quick comments. The first is I want to congratulate the Boys and Girls Club for a very successful event, the 100 Men Who Cook. I know several of us participated. I did mainly through my wife. I had a conflict in Indianapolis. But it's a great event. If you ever get a chance to go to it and raise a lot of dollars for very good programs. The second issue I think that's important is, and the reason I voted against this tonight, tabling this, is our timing. We could have heard a few of the folks before that left, and I'm very concerned when people come to City Hall and they clearly want to be heard, not just with their presence, but their voices. I would have liked to have heard a few of them, and I think we still could have then tabled it afterward. So that's why I voted against it. I'm not trying to create a fight here, or a fence with my colleagues. So, but I do want to echo Commissioner Smithright and the rest of us, and that is, we are glad you're here. This is democracy in action. We appreciate you coming here. We appreciate all of you who've written us letters or emailed us. Please feel free to do so anytime. That's what we're here for. Thank you.
Commissioner Velada.
Just to echo what Commissioner Glenn said, congratulations to the Boys and Girls Club. A very successful event, and there are many more coming, so keep your eyes out for those folks. Thanks for all the public comments. We do like to hear your emails, whether you believe it or not. Your phone calls are not unheard. If you send us text messages, things like that, that's what we are here for, is to hear your voice so that we can make a conscious decision for the public. That's why we were elected. So please keep those coming, and thank you for showing up tonight in this democratic forum that we're here. That's why we're here. So thank you, public.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Condon.
Thank you, Mayor. In regards to, I'll stay on that same subject as the city budget. I'm not for sure if I have worked or worried as hard about something since the mid-90s, whenever I left Texas Gas and started my own business. You know, this subject of balancing, as I posted before, the wants and needs of what we have in this city, and without placing an undue burden on our taxpayers, while making sure public safety is first and foremost, that our infrastructure hopefully can be taken care of, that our central dispatch, that everything that we do as a government is done well and done right. And I do believe we don't take that for granted. None of us up here will ever take that. If they do, they need to be doing something else, and none of them up here do. Staff has been poring over this, and us making them upset by, let's change this, let's do that, how can we do that? It is constant. So we have spent a tremendous amount of time. We're not finished yet. We still have a lot of more work to do. Please be patient with us. Support as much as you can. Show up. Call. Do everything else you've been doing. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much, Mayor.
Thank you. Well, it's quite obvious the folks that were here, you could have a show of hands, you could tell who was for what. So I don't really feel too bad about not going over this same information twice. So that's why we did it this way. So the next meeting that we have, where we have the opportunity to talk about the budget, we'll have made the last stab at it, maybe turned over every rock that we could. Democracy is supposed to be a diversity of opinion and a unity of purpose. And this bunch up here is pretty diverse, I could tell you, trying to get all of them in the same barrel at the same time. But, that's what it's all about.
I'm not getting in a barrel.
Huh?
I'm not getting in a barrel. That's
wheelbarrow.
I ain't that kind of girl.
Wheelbarrow. So we just, we're just like you. We're all in this together. So we appreciate your tentative tonight. And you got upset because we didn't talk about it? You'll get another chance, I promise you. Okay, at this time, we'll go to open public forum. And I'm going to read this, and I'm going to ask that if you've got 15 people and they're all for burning down whatever you want to burn down, the board chair would like to hear from a spokesman from that group. I don't want to hear the same 15 things as no one else does either. So, y'all get a spokesperson there, because we understand, just like I told Mr. Moreland, he's against alcohol, and I've known that for a long time. So we want you to understand, we want to hear it, but just get a spokesman from the group so we can, let everybody have a chance to speak tonight. So I'm going to read this. Members of the audience are invited to address the City Commission on any matter of public concern that was not on tonight's agenda. Comments are limited to issues within the scope of the responsibility of the Commission. City Commission meetings are held to conduct city business for the benefit of the citizens and taxpayers. The meetings are not intended to serve as a public forums for candidates and yada, yada, yada. During the open public forum, any citizen may address a specific city-related issue not on the agenda, but candidates for political office will not be allowed to use the commission meeting. At this time, you'll be allowed 3 minutes. We've got a buzzer. And if anyone who wants to address the City Commission and make their way to the podium to be recognized, speakers must state their name and address for the clerk's record. And it's not a debate, and the City Commission and the mayor and the staff really don't have to answer your questions. We'd be glad to take them under advisement and get back to you, because a lot of times we might not be prepared for what you're going to ask. Is that clear as mud? Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, my name is Judy Adams. I live at 2245 Cananero Loop in Owensboro, 42301. I've lived in Owensboro for over 30 years now, so I feel like I have some ownership here. I simply I've been to several of these budget meetings, and I'm well aware that Cravens Pool is owned by the Owensboro Public School System, but the major concern of closing Cravens Pool has to do with the city budget and the maintenance of the pool. And I urge you to reconsider that closing. I think it's totally unfair to take a group of children and families who live in one particular neighborhood and suddenly say, you no longer have access to this recreational facility. You need to get yourselves down to the other side of town. So I want to say that, but I also want to say that I'm very pleased that you're willing to rethink your budget and sit down and start hopefully not start over, because I know that would be a terror. But I'm pleased to know that you are not rigidly adhering to that budget as I've seen it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Adams. Just for your information, offer has been made to the city school system to make sure those kids could have transportation, and someone has volunteered to buy passes for them to be able to swim at the pool. So we're doing everything we can to try and help as best we can. And I appreciate your concern.
Mayor, I believe that someone was you.
Next.
My name is Charles DeLacy from 3318 Jefferson Street, Owensboro, Kentucky. And I just wanted to ask, for the benefit of those like myself who were concerned about the budget, if there's any indication of when it will be brought up again. I know there's another meeting in May that I believe I read was to speak on the budget, just so that, as you mentioned, to have a spokesperson so that we have time to organize, and so that it's not just a million people saying the same thing.
May 16th, 5 o'clock.
May, all right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. You're the other Charles DeLacy. Didn't I ask you that the other day?
Yeah.
I have a really good friend that's named Charles DeLacy. Hey, hello, Pete.
Hey, I'm Bill Moss. My address is 2447 O'Brien, Apartment B. Mayor, with the TIF money, most of it going out 54, is there any kind of way we can ship some of that down to the west end of town or the south end of town? How's that work?
I'll defer to the TIF master, Mr. Ray.
Thank you, Mayor. The TIF is a geographically bound area, and any money generated under the TIF program has to be spent within the geographic area which it was generated. So, for instance, the TIF sales tax money that is generated from the state has to be spent within that geographic area for public infrastructure. So a storm sewer system on the other side of town would not be permissible with the TIF revenues. But what the TIF does is, remember that it's generating from existing base platform of tax revenues, and that public infrastructure allows growth. And 20% of that growth is kept in the general fund and is part of the annual budget. So, for instance, on 54, where right now, before the TIF, it was not in the city limits, and it was not producing any income, property tax, occupational, or otherwise, 20% of what it does produce will come back to the city's general fund. And it is accounted for at this point in what's been presented in our budget.
Okay, I understand that. So how do we, as citizens, get businesses, small businesses especially, to go into the west end? Do we not have anybody on the staff that have those kind of resources that can help people like myself start a business? Are we not in that?
Have you come into the city and asked for help yet?
I'm
Bill?
just asking today.
Okay, good. I was wanting to find out why you were asking.
I'm asking
if you'd
because
been turned away or something.
I'm trying to figure out who I go to at City Hall and what's the process for doing that.
I would suggest that you go to the Economic Development Corp over at the Chase Building and go have a meeting with EDC. That's in their purview of trying to help recruit businesses and help find opportunities for people. And they have a whole section of it that works with existing and startups. And that would be your best shot to go there. You just get an appointment, call up there and tell them what you want to do. You want to have some information on how to help start a business in West End or whatever end, and then they'll give you some information and try and guide you for small business loans and things such as that. They have a whole, it's not unheard of for that request. So I would suggest that, and if you got problems with it, give me a buzz. I'll help you. I'm on the EDC board.
I just called 3 weeks ago and they have not gotten back with me. So
you called who?
I called Joel Berry. Is that his name?
That is his name. And he hadn't gotten back to you?
So
I will call Joe Berry tonight.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Mayor, if I could also,
Sure.
just to mention then what the city connection is economic development will do the review you said, and just for everybody's understanding, they then are very aware of all the city-related programs. And that's a great place to filter through one-stop shopping to understand both at the state level, county level, and city level what types of programs that are out there and that they're eligible for. And they have a direct line then to us here at City Hall, our staff, to propose those and work through those at the staff level.
Great. And you know, Bill, my business is in the West End. You know that, don't you?
I do know that, yes.
Yeah, and we got in there through some kind of enterprise zone. It was depleted. They did away with that in the Fletcher administration, but that helped us get started to buy a building that was really bigger than we could afford. And, you know, so that was an opportunity for me to be in the West End.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. You're up, Mr. Murphy.
Mr. Mayor.
How you doing?
Good evening. My name is Mort Murphy. I live at 876 Live Oak Place in Owensboro, of all places. I have a slight hearing problem, but I hear most of what's going on. But I understand someone say that the school board owns the Cravens Pool.
That is correct, sir.
I believe that needs a point of clarification. The school board actually owns the property. The property is leased to the city, and the pool is the city's 100% responsibility.
And
for
the
pool.
lease has expired, sir. You hear me okay?
So the lease has expired?
Yes, sir. That's why we were looking at it. I mean, because all the things lined up together. But yes, sir, the lease has expired.
Does the school board know that?
That's where you get education. I hope they know it.
Okay. Because my daughter is chief financial officer of the school board, and she didn't mention that fact to me that it expired. So
Well, I'm going, and I've got bad information, but I'm pretty sure it's correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Good to see you again. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm
My name
Heather.
is-
Un momento.
Go ahead.
There we go.
I'm Heather Hunt. I live at 1912 East 20th Street, 42303, Owensboro, Kentucky. I have a little bit different take on the issue of the Cravens Pool. It has nothing to do with me being on one side and the other. We're within walking distance of the Combest Pool, and it is a beautiful pool. But I have 3 small children. The Combest Pool is huge. It's always packed wonderfully with teenagers and adults spending their time on that beautiful slide that the city put in. But it is too big for me to watch my small children in. The pool over at Cravens is on the other side of town. I'd walk there. We'd drive there if it was possible. You know, we'll drive there any way we can get there. It is small enough and purposely that way for smaller children. Little tiny toddlers can sit underneath a little mushroom. If you haven't seen the pool, it's beautiful. There's lily pads that 9-year-olds can jump on, a little rope they can play with, and it's big, and it is just big enough that one parent can stand there and watch their little children have fun all day long and not worry about if there's an issue that they can't just jump in and get them, because the pool never gets bigger than 4 feet. And it's, you know, I mean, it's really not that big of a pool, but it's just big enough that you can fit a lot of little small children in there and to have a great time. It's one of those issues where, yes, we could probably get ourselves down to Combest, but I wouldn't feel comfortable taking them. And the children still want to be outside on a horrible day as it gets here in Kentucky, where it's so hot you can't play in your backyard. And, you know, they want to be at a pool. They don't want to be in the YMCA indoors. They want to be outside. So we want to be over at the Cravens Pool. And as you said, I wasn't aware that it was owned by the school. I realize that you all have a huge going over the budget. It's a big old list. I talked to the director of Parks and Recreation just this morning. She told me there was a big old list that was handed out, and I can understand that if the lease was up, that would have been one of your prime things where you said, okay, you know, we don't own it. Maybe this is, you know, whatever. But if we can get some headway and talk to the school, hopefully we can work that out and keep the pool, even though I know it's a really hard decision to go, okay, what do we cut? Sewage maintenance or this pool? I get that. But I just wanted to give a little bit of a different perspective from somebody, a mother of small children. We got new little Owensboro people being born every day that would probably really benefit from that pool. So.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So it's a second one for the pool, right? Yeah, that's what I was saying. Okay, you're up.
My name is Emma Latta, 3823 Garden Terrace here in Owensboro.
Welcome.
I'd like to know why the city was willing to spend $1.4 million on trees downtown, but they're not willing to spend $100,000 to keep Craven's Pool open.
I wasn't here. Okay, yes, sir.
Yes, Ron Sanderson, 335 East 21st Street.
I'm sorry, we got to get a little closer to the
sorry.
mic, please.
Yes, Ron Sanderson, 335 East 21st Street. Thinking long-term, we're going to have some issues with our unfunded pension liabilities coming up in the future. I think Dr. Manel had us ranked 68th worst in the nation. So as we look at the budget, we need to cut the budget expenses actually by at least probably 30%. I'm worried about the long-term future. As a professional economist, I look at these quite a bit, and if we can't even cut a little, we are in big trouble in the future.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Tracy Payne. I live at 102 East Warwick Drive. I live over by Newton Parish School. I wasn't going to bring this up tonight, but being there's so much stuff brought up about the school, I'm going to bring it up.
Thank you.
I've asked the mayor and the commission before to see about doing something about the city school traffic on the streets, and nobody wants to do anything.
Explain yourself, please.
Well, about 3 years ago, I worked with the city street engineering department, and they come up with 10 different ways to get the traffic off the street over there behind Newton Parish. But the school board, the school system, does not want the traffic on their properties. They want it on them city streets. The reason why, I've been told, because if a kid gets run over in the school traffic, the first thing the school board is going to say is, we can't control what happens on the city street. And that's true. They can't. Only y'all, the commission. So when that happens, now that I'm bringing it in front of y'all, I've been bringing it in front of y'all now for 3 to 4 years. And it's not nothing being done about it. It's getting worse. Sherm Road over there, this coming year, there's going to be 250 more students. Miss Pam Smith Wright, she goes down that road. When you go down that road, when you get to the school, how I found this out was from Miss Wright, you have to get in the turning lane to go straight. Now, if she has a wreck when she's in that turning lane and goes straight, it's going to be her fault because she did not do what she told the oncoming traffic to do. I have asked the city police department to come to these areas and write tickets for people not doing what they're supposed to on the city streets. They refuse to write any tickets in the school zone areas where the school pickups are. I've asked for them. There's a stop sign on Warwick Drive for a year. I've never stopped at it. Never. Because the police won't sit back there. That's where our school traffic is at. Not on Byers Avenue in front of it. All the pickup is behind it. And the police department won't come back there. The neighbors have asked for the police department to sit back there and do speed control in the morning. And all they did was come back there and put up a sign, flashing sign, tell you how fast you're going. That's not going to stop you from going fast. But until the police department writes some tickets, me, y'all, anybody out here does not have the paperwork to back what the school traffic is causing.
Okay.
Y'all ask about the meeting. I will be at the meeting asking for them to do something about it. Thursday night at 4:30. It's at 4:30 instead of 5 o'clock.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else? No elected officials and none of that
I'm
stuff.
not politicking. I'm not running for anything, probably ever. My name is Joey Connolly. I live at 108 West 22nd Street. And I just wanted to make the point that it might be true that we have not had a tax increase from the municipal budget in many years, but when the city owns the utility company, and it's just a matter of classification for us not to call that a tax increase. Because of the things the city owns, businesses and people are a lot more troubled financially than they would be. So even though I know that the OME budget is not yours, but those increases may not be classified as tax increases, but there's very little difference in my mind. So I realize you have a unfortunate position of trying to figure out a way to balance this budget. I just want you to consider that before you do make the decision to raise taxes, that because of city-owned functions, we are a lot more
So
struggling.
you're
than we
saying
used
that's
to.
a hidden tax on the money they give us? Is that
Is
what you're
there-
saying?
That's a strong word, but isn't that, I mean, when you get down to it, it's a matter of semantics that we don't call it a tax increase, but because of something the city owns, we have to pay more money. So it
So
may
we're
not be
trying
a
to-
direct tax increase, but really, because of things that leaderships have made and decisions, which I know OMU has its own problems, but we're the ones who have to
Well,
pay
we
and feel
got
it, you know?
we got this big debt we got now.
Yeah.
And if that subsidy goes away over there, that amounts to about $9 million. That's going to be thrown in on top of it. So I feel your pain. I understand what you're saying, and
And I know you guys consider that, but
Well,
I
it's-
hear a
it's
lot
good
that
to-
there are
it's-
no tax increases, which I know is true, but still, the spirit of it, I think they're.
Larry and I were at the meeting the other day and listened
Mhm.
to him talk about $47 million water plant, $19.6 million fiber, and I understand.
And I know it's needed, just like it is to pay for the debt service and everything else. I understand it's needed, but it's falling on our backs, which I know you understand, but I wanted just to
wanted to
bring that up
reinforce that I
again
understood it.
why you make these difficult decisions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Oh, appreciate you. Anyone else?
Actually, I just wanted to.
Ah.
Sorry. I will be really quick. Charlie
Okay.
Gillespie, 3318 Jefferson Street, Owensboro, Kentucky. I remember my address this time. But would it possibly be helpful to make some sort of investment that returns, like in energy, like with solar? Like I know OMU is moving away from coal, and there's there's land for solar energy. There's an investment to put up, but then in a little bit of maintenance. I'm not an economist, but of course, but from what I've studied, that in the long run, it ends up saving money in energy costs.
You know,
And-
those guys are the experts, not me.
Yeah.
So we're going to try and follow their lead as best we can and have as strong enough oversight as we possibly can, because I'd rather have a colonoscopy than raise your taxes. I'm telling you that right now. So it's just that's just the way it is. Thank you. All right, anybody else?
Bob Zimmerman, Owensboro. I'm glad to get to meet. I've been wanting to meet you, Carol, for a long time. I want to commend you for all your hard work. I've heard for years what you've done. I have an Oxford house here in town, and a transitional.
Mr. Zimmerman, on task. Here we go. What's your position? What do we got to talk about? I love her too, but let's go. Get on the line.
Okay. So commendations aren't. I'd also like to interject one for Paul Nave. He's a neighbor of mine, a fine fellow, and I just wanted to say that.
I agree.
Sorry for.
Okay.
And didn't mean to talk out of turn earlier, but Mr. Ray had started with the next, I think, municipal order. And I mean, nothing he did wrong, but everybody was exiting, and I think it's kind of rude that the ones that remain came to the commission meeting to remain.
Now, we resolved that, though, didn't we?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. What's on your mind tonight? You're taking up your 3 minutes with all this now. Come on.
I know you weren't here back then, but I'm glad you're here now,
I'm here
Mayor.
now.
But anyway, I'm the owner of record of Gabe's Tower. And I've never heard from this commission, and just wonder if I could beg an answer from each member, if possible, what the animosity towards Gabe's Tower is. I know, remember Mayor Payne saying, well, and you weren't here then, but he said it's got to go. And, you know, I might agree with him. But I just, for some reason, the civil engineering in me's coming out, and I need to know why it's got to go. So could I ask one other thing, please, Mayor? I want to commend Bill Parrish. He was real helpful a couple, 3 months ago when I was really struggling and just wanting to speak to somebody that could carry on a good conversation, the pros and cons of Gabe's Tower. But now I've been directed by Mr. Ray that not to talk to anybody, and that's okay, but I just wish that you would say, don't talk to me about it, so I'll quit bugging you, you know, until I just need some, breaking off communication is really difficult for me.
Okay, let's let Mr. Ray answer.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Mayor and Commissioners, first of all, that last statement has never happened. That's just not accurate.
Statement was that, sir?
About asking Mr. Zimmerman not to talk to any of you. Matter of fact, with Mr. Zimmerman's counsel present, we made it very clear that all the members of the commission and are open and receive comment and are always glad to hear the voice of any citizen. So I have to respectfully disagree that that ever happened. But secondly, Mayor and Commission, as to the question, we're in active litigation with the property there on a foreclosure, and I recommend that any questions that Mr. Zimmerman has through his counsel be given in writing to me, and I'll be glad to pass those on as would be appropriate. And if a response is requested, then I'll be glad to, related to that property that's in litigation, I'll be glad to pass that on to his counsel. And his counsel has requested that all communication to Mr. Zimmerman go through him.
Thank you, sir.
I don't want to get into an argument, Mr. Ray, but number one, when my counsel was present, you're talking about one, he is no longer my counsel, as you well know, because you got correspondence from my new counsel. But anyway, and number two, I think you said that never happened, that you, I don't know what communications you have had with Bill Parrish and the others, but all of a sudden nobody will talk to me, and you sent me a letter that stated, I wish I had it with me, but it stated, I am now the primary contact person. Do you remember sending me a letter so stated?
Again, I'd recommend that his counsel provide anything that Mr. Zimmerman wants addressed from this commission through in writing.
One more thing, you told me just the other day that I could come to that they couldn't talk to me or I couldn't talk to them. And
Mayor, I think we've gone over this. That's just not true. I'd recommend that if Mr. Zimmerman has these issues, that we'd be glad to address those through his counsel, as his counsel at Frost Brown Todd has requested.
One more comment.
Make it a quick one, please, sir.
Does the commission and city manager, do they believe that HUD does not want Gabe's Tower eminent domain and demolished if it is usable as affordable housing?
I have no idea, and like I said, we'll let.
And you don't, there's nobody on the commission.
I said we don't have any idea unless someone wants to speak up. Yes, sir. This thing's been going on a long time before I got here, and I'm deferring to our council. I mean, that's what we should do until we can get enough information.
So you let the council dictate who you can talk to.
You want to argue a little bit? Now, I don't really want to. I've been trying to stay in a good mood
We're
tonight.
old classmates. I don't want to argue with you.
Yeah, I don't want to
I've
argue.
told you many times I'm glad you're here.
Yeah. But well, I think you know why we have lawyers, because we got lawyers.
Yes, sir.
So I'm going to defer to mine right now.
Okay. Could I ask Bill Parrish if another example? I want to speak to him, but I think he's got direction not to speak back to me. I left a message the other day, and as I have with just about every commission member in here.
Again, Mr. Mayor, we've got written correspondence and requests from his counsel to address all issues back to Mr. Zimmerman through his counsel, and I'd be glad to pass that on to him and ask his counsel to review a tape of tonight's proceedings and ask for direction from his counsel. But I don't recommend we have any.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zimmerman.
One more thing,
No,
and this is serious.
No, I've given you more than 3 minutes as it is.
I believe that this administration manipulating Chief and his
Okay, that's enough. You're out of order.
They're manipulating them because
You're
they've
out of
had
order,
me
Mr.
arrested
Zimmerman.
twice for
Come
being on my own
please,
property.
Don't make it harder than it is. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Charlene Salpetra. I reside at 1420 Hunting Creek Drive in Owensboro, but I am the new small business owner at 1900 Triplet Street. So, yeah, very proudly and excited about that. But as most of you know, I entered into that purchase with other plans in mind as far as the surrounding property, thinking that we had a plan in place that was going to move forward. But my comment tonight is that it has turned out that things aren't moving quite as expected. But Mr. Zimmerman has been an extremely pleasant neighbor. He's been very supportive, and he's putting a lot of hours into Gabe's Tower. And he's very passionate about it, as you can see. But he has turned out to be a very pleasant neighbor for me and for the surrounding small businesses. There is some hearsay that another purchase has taken place of surrounding property that may impact it as well. And it's with hopes that many of those people that are considering buying property surrounding that area aren't doing so upon the commitments or promises that things are going to take place that maybe we can't really commit to at this point in time. But something that I'll be coming to you again in the future is that I'd like to see us dedicate as much time to other properties around there and the business owners, that they stay committed to cleaning up that area. I have already suffered some damage to my property because of not so pleasant neighbors, and that would be tenants of the hotel across the street from my business. But I'm already money being spent on signage and other items that are being vandalized and being witnessed as being vandalized by the tenants of the hotel. So that's something that I would like to see that you put as much effort into as well, that we clean up the surrounding area, all of it, not just Gabe's Tower. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Chief, got extra patrol car every now and then around there? Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Sheila Crow. I live 2624 West 6th Street, and I'm the owner of Pinky's Snow Cone and Snacks downtown. And I also work at the H.L. Neblett Community Center. And every summer, the kids look forward to go to Craven's Pool, because it is the only pool, like the young lady said, at the end that you can go, and it starts at 0 feet, I guess you would say, and it gradually goes up to 4 feet. It's the only one that you can go to take the little kids. They never go to Chautauqua. You can't watch them. They close the kids pool there. So I'm just asking you to take something else away besides taking something away from the kids down there. That's what I'm asking for y'all to do. And I know that your kids probably don't go to them pools. They probably go to Atlantis or something, more personal, but it does affect the community down there. If you have a little kid or a grandbaby, that's the pool that they're going to have to go to, the only pool that they can go to that they'd be able to sit there and play in. So,
the saddest part of this whole thing is people actually think that we want to close the Dad Blaine pool. That's the furthest thing from our mind. So when you ask, please know that we'd like to do everything we can to keep the pool open. So we have to take everything into consideration. None of us want to close the pool. That's not a want. So just kind of saying that, defending
I
myself a little bit. I don't want to keep the little skidders out of the water either.
No.
I mean, we don't want to close it. So
I know you got to make
hard.
the cuts. I'm just asking you to make it
Somewhere
if you
else
can.
Somebody else's?
Because it's the kids that it's going to affect there.
I understand.
And my kids are older to go to Chautauqua, but my little one does go to that pool with the community center in the summer. And I'm sure that, in the other place that you have to take, it's the only place you can take the baby. Okay. Or a toddler. It's the only place. So
thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am. Okay. This time I'll make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor indicate by saying yay.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate you.